Hey everybody, my name's Ed. Okay, so we're going to do another comic book haul here, so we'll just jump into it. First we have Primordial. Oh, Jesus. Primordial. Primordial. #1 by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino and Dave Stewart. I know they're I think they're at least issue 3 by now, but this is me just now deciding to kind of give it a try. Echolands 3 by J.H. Williams III. I'm really digging the art. The story is just okay. It's basically um, the story. It's basically this kind of mashups of various different uh, fantasy genres and comic book genres. So it's like right here you can see you've got this Jack Kirby kind of space god looking guy right next to this kind of Bernie Wrightson Frankenstein looking dude. And it's just really a really interesting artistic experiment. Like I said, it's great how he's able to mix up a variety of styles, not just page by page or scene by scene, but a lot of times in the very same panel. Here's another good example. You've got your horror lady here, kind of like a eerie or creepy magazine type person. Then you got this guy who looks like he's a milk can of sort of adventure comic strip guy. And then here's some sort of fantasy elf person. Maybe that's Mobius. Maybe it's the Mobius style French guy. But like I said, I like the format. You've got the whole sort of it's widescreen sort of old school comic strip thing going on here. And then again, and I've said this before, it's really interesting how it looks like the panels are really jazzy and flamboyant or whatever, but he always keeps it pretty clear as to where your eye is supposed to go, right? It's never actually confusing reading it scene by scene or panel to panel. And like I said, that's a lot more than I can say for a lot of other superstar comic book artists. Okay. All right. I've got that. This is Black Widow #12. I think there's been another delay. I think this has been out almost a month at least. And the next issue isn't going to be coming out until like January, I think. So, Rocket Icon and Rocket #4. Solid superhero comic. It's interesting that they try to take on a couple of social issues. I don't think it's as strong as the series from the '90s in that regard. We might talk maybe when this arc is done. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. This is a pretty kind of funny cover here. Wanted for completely effing up the global economy. Basically, they destroy the drug supply. I mean, I got my opinion on that, but like I said, maybe we'll say that for another video. And then we have Adventure Man #6. Basically, the story of this woman and her friends and her family, how she inherits the superpowers of this old pulp. Uh, what do I want to say? Well, I guess pulp hero called Adventure Man, and the kind of rebirth of all of old Adventure Man's old allies. So you've got mystical adventure people, and here we have this guy who's some sort of mystical Western guy. Adventure Man was kind of like a Doc Savage type person, I guess. But it's interesting what Matt Fraction's trying to do by having a big wide cast of characters and again mashing up sort of different types of heroes and whatnot, and also trying to make the main characters pretty diverse or whatever. My biggest problem is the story really doesn't have very much meat to it. It doesn't really stick to your bones. And like I say, you've got a big wide cast of characters, but I don't know that you really care that much about them. But again, you do have some great art. I think one of the drawbacks to the Terry and Rachel Dawson art is it kind of suffers from he's not always or they're not always able to make the characters distinct. You know, there's a there's several female characters. I remember this when he was doing the all-female team of X-Men like a few years back. If you don't pay attention to what certain characters are wearing or what their particular hairstyles are, it can get kind of confusing because everybody's kind of has the same face. It's all very lovely, but and it's all very nice looking. But but if there's one major flaw, is that they don't always make their characters that distinct. Yeah. Okay, so then we're gonna get some older comics. Here's Daredevil 191. Um, this is a very I remember having this years ago, but I got this because I think it might be interesting and maybe talk about it separately in its own video. Maybe we could do a deep dive. This was the end of Frank Miller's first run. It was a very interesting story because he does kind of take a look at the effects of violence and I don't want to say violence in the media, but the idea of having violent action heroes. There's a bit in here with child abuse in a sort of way. There's a school shooting, which is kind of interesting too, considering that at this particular times, like mass shootings and school shootings happened, but they weren't as common as they are today. So we might do a deep dive on this sometime. I don't know when I get to it, but we'll probably do that. And speaking of social issues in comics, here is the Baxter reprints of Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Denny O'Neill's and Neil Adams, number 5. This one has that infamous drug story. This, I can't remember how the timeline goes. I can't remember if the Spider-Man drug story came out first or if this one came out first. But these drug stories kind of helped kind of loosening the restraints of the comic book code authority. I think previous to well, these stories might have been 1969, 1970, 71, something like that. Previous to that, under the code, you couldn't mention drugs. Drugs didn't exist. You know, of course, they don't want people to like glorify drug use, but you couldn't even say, "Hey, kids, drugs are a bad idea. Just say no," which is what these stories were. But I do know that it was this comic and the Spider-Man comic that got the code to kind of loosen up here. All right, I got this. This I found out I was looking for some information about Jason Pearson's Body Bags comics, and somehow I came across this. So this is America #1. I think this is a follow-up to another series by the writer is Hughes something or something Hughes. John Hughes. John Hughes is the creator, and then Jason Pearson did the art here. It has something to do with some character who's a superhero. She used to have invulnerability powers, but now she doesn't. But she's going to be a superhero anyway. There's some crazy action stuff going on here. I don't know how I feel about these covers. I saw a reproduction of some of these pages in black and white. And I actually think they look better. The colors are so dark and kind of muddy looking here. It's a weird thing to say that the production values on coloring in comics has gotten a lot more sophisticated. But on sometimes some people's art, I think flat colors, those old-fashioned four-colored flat colors, Might be, sometimes I think they make the art look a little bit better. Okay, and I also got some undergrounds again. So this is Freak Brothers 4. Freak Brothers. This is kind of funny too because the joke here is we all know these guys are like big dope smokers or whatever, and they've got all their best clothes on here, but you see they're basically just standing in line for the welfare office. And the original story might have come out, or the original comic might have come out around. Brother, can you spare $1 for the Freak Brothers? But this this copy in my hand is three sorry, $3.95. So this is the whatever eighth printing or ninth printing or whatever. But getting back to the original point, okay, original copyright. Uh, it's 1980. All right. So anyway, getting to the point, the cover's pretty reflective of the recession that was going on then. You know, this is actually some really nice art here. It's Gilbert Sheridan and Dave Sheridan. I think Dave Sheridan passed away. I can't remember exactly when, but there's actually some really great technique here and some really interesting shading and cross hatching and stuff going on. I know a lot of times there's a lot of fans who are dismissive of cartoony looking art, but this is as good, in my opinion, as a lot of, again, superstar artists that you have doing superhero comics. So, okay. Anyway, so that's number 4. This is number 5. Oh, this has it right here. Ninth. This is the ninth printing. Ninth printing. This is pretty much a whole goof on that whole sort of post hippie commune, or go back to nature type of thing. And of course, they're growing like weed and shit back there. But anyway, and then this is Dope and Dan number 3. Wait, let me see here. Ninth printing. It does say it. Ninth printing. And this says here, what does this say? Oh, here. So that other Freak Brothers, this one is the 10th printing. So there you go. 10th printing. Anyway, Freak Brothers 5, and then a wrap up. Dope and Dan, number 3, 3rd printing. And I'm pretty sure this was the last issue they did. Dope and Dan was kind of this sort of Beetle Bailey, Sack Beetle Bailey type character for the Undergrounds. This guy is really like a guy, he's in the military, but he's all into the whole sort of counterculture thing. Yeah, that's a good way to say it. A Beetle Bailey for the counterculture or whatever. So, all right. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You guys have a great day.